this trend line. All right. What's up, YouTube? How's it going? We are live on YouTube. Okay, so we were talking about a couple of favorite tickers that I have for day trading today, and Oxy being the number one. I'm looking for an entry around 65.30 area, so off of the 50 SMA period on the daily chart. And it will also entail us filling this retest gap, especially if the markets could get going. I think this would be a phenomenal trade. We are close to, well, we kind of took out this volume, but we're close to taking out this big red candle today. So definitely keep an eye on Oxy, guys. This thing can get going and it moves fairly well. If you think Oxy doesn't move, I mean, it moves quite a bit for a day trade. So keep an eye on this guy, my favorite ticker so far. Another one that I absolutely loved was, and it's also on my list, I'm going to move Oxy up a little bit. So we'll move it up ahead, a little bit below Tesla, because Tesla has to stay right on top. But here is PayPal. For those of you guys that love gap and goes, this is your day. PayPal looks phenomenal right now for a gap and go. If the markets can get going, we looked at the cues on the 4-hour chart. So I do think that initially we could get a pullback, but then if we do get that pullback, and you can find a decent entry on PayPal today, I think the 50 SMA on the daily could be a phenomenal target. And a great risk to reward. So, you know, essentially we're taking out the last 3 days of bear candles on PayPal, which is amazing. Some of these bears are going to feel the pain. Some of these bears are going to feel the pain and they're going to want to get out. So definitely keep an eye on this. PayPal is also in this channel. So I would think that us getting to the 50 on the daily, 50 SMA on the daily, is not a very bad idea. So I think this could be a pretty decent target for a day trade today. If that happens right at open, I wouldn't want to be in it. At that point, I would just want to be patient with this guy. So let's say we open and we just boom with 3 candles in a row, kind of like what we did yesterday. With our dropping. So if that happens, then I'll just leave it alone. But otherwise, I'll be watching this very closely at open. Also, another phenomenal gap and go is Rivian, of course. And guys, we can't be in you know, all of these trades all at once. So you got to pick your favorite and just roll with it, really. So whichever one you decide to go with, just know that the markets have to go along with your choices. So, you know, if the Qs and the SPY are not going along, then maybe consider tightening your stop. But Rivian is another one. So I'm looking for it to get to the 50 SMA, obviously, on the daily. And I think it's definitely doable. This is a beautiful, beautiful gap and go on Rivian. I think they came out with 7,000 cars produced and delivered, and their goal is 25,000 by the end of the year. So definitely keep an eye on this guy. I still don't know if they're profitable or not, but that doesn't matter for our day trade purposes. It is a perfect gap and go today off of support level. I'd like the volume to be a little bit higher, but I definitely could see this happen on Rivian. So I wouldn't be super worried about this guy if you are looking for an entry pretty early in the morning. So right around at open. I would say look at the 1-minute chart and wait for one bear candle. The first bear candle that you get, look for an entry above that with your stop slightly below here. And I think that could be a phenomenal trade. So good one-to-one risk to reward kind of scenario. I'm not sure if you can trade Rivian in the funded account. If somebody would like to check on that for me, that would be awesome. But yeah, and I can tell you guys, if we take out this guy today, 35.70, then I think we can certainly get going for a swing trade as well. But I think this 35 area is going to act as somewhat of a resistance area. So I don't know if we're going to go past that, but until then, we are clean and good to go. Okay, Stephen King says it's not in the funded account, but PayPal is. Okay, cool. So maybe we could focus on PayPal a little bit more and Rivian a little tiny bit less. Although Rivian is in the news, so a lot of eyes are going to be on it right now. I get this alert on CNBC. I'm not sure how I got subscribed to it, but every morning, right around 7 o'clock or 8 o'clock, they send me an alert saying pre-market movers. And Rivian was on their #1 list. So, a lot of eyes are going to be on it. And so just keep in mind that we will have some movement right at open on this guy. VIX is nice and low, although it is still at 29. So I would be a little bit cautious about buying calls right at open. If you're trying to do all these gap and go kind of plays, I would say do it with shares if you have the flexibility and your account's big enough for it. Doing it with shares is much, much easier. Calls are going to be expensive at open with VIX being at 29. So I like that the 10-year is pulling back a little bit. So guys, here's my plan on SPY for today. And we'll look at the Qs as well. So the plan so far is to watch it around this level. So when this gap fills, this is the hourly chart on SPY. When this gap fills, I'm going to be watching it very closely. And what I'm expecting is that we go fill this gap, come back down, kind of sort of double bottom off of this level and go higher. Or we take it out right at open, come back down, retest this level, and go higher. But here is a good, neat little play. I've seen these chart patterns play out time and time again in respect to gaps. So definitely be watching out for this level acting as resistance. And if we take it out, I wouldn't really want to go long right over here. I would want to wait for a pullback down to this level, look for a 10 EMA kind of play right around here, or look for some type of reversal signals on shorter time frames right around here at this level. If we take it out, if we get rejected, then I will look for reversal signals right around here. Now, what happens if we open over here? I will look for support at that point because the gaps on the bottom usually act as support. So I'm going to be looking for support around this level right here, and we should be able to go flying off of it. So we'll see how SPY plays out, but these are a couple of scenarios that I absolutely think could work out. Other than that, I think it's going to be a clean little bullish type of day. We do have lots of Feds talking though. Let's look at SPY in the futures section and show you guys what 4-hour looks like. It, almost coincides with the Qs, so I'm not really, I wouldn't be surprised. But here we go. So here's our 4-hour. And in my experience, guys, when we have a run up like this, it is always turning into a trap. So don't be too ambitious at open going, oh my God, everything's going to go bullish. We could very easily pull back. This is extremely extended. I was listening to news last night and they were talking about some missiles that Japan got attacked with, and the markets did not care whatsoever. They were just running wild. So yeah, it was interesting to watch this play out while some crazy events were happening out there. Let's look at the NQ real quick also, just so I could show you guys how crazy extended we are on the 4 hours. And Q is not really taking out this pivot level on the 4 hours. So I could see it go higher a little bit, come back over here, pull back a little bit more. On the hourly though, it looks like, oh my God. I mean, look at this. We were at RSI low yesterday, I want to say. Yeah, well, day before, October 2nd, but RSI low. And today we're at RSI high. So keep an eye on this guy, guys. I mean, we could easily pull back. And if that happens, I will look for some short opportunities. There's going to be plenty. So speaking of which, here is our boy Tesla. Guys, if you got a chance to short this guy yesterday, I mean, great job. Great job, especially if you bought puts day before. I mean, this was a clean cut breakdown. And if you bought puts, I mean, you were making money. So Tesla is right around that 250 level that we were watching very closely yesterday. And today it's hanging out in that area again. So, you know, if we have turbulence out there in the markets, ideally, I would just want the markets to flush at open and then get bought up. So that's what I would want it to do. But with all these gap and goes, I don't know which way they go. But we have a short play and a long play intact, right? So we have our long play on Oxy, we have a long play on PayPal, we will be watching Rivian, for those of you that don't want to trade it in the funded account. And then for short plays, I would say Tesla. I could see Tesla go up to 255 level. I'm not sure if it's going to be able to fill that gap today. I mean, it could if the markets get a push, but otherwise, I don't really know. I mean, it's a lot of selling, and a lot of bulls know they're trapped in this daily chart. The weekly looks horrendous. The monthly looks horrendous too. So I don't know what to tell you guys. So as far as a bear play is concerned, I will be watching this guy, and then bull plays, I have a list. So there we go. Peter says North Korea shot a missile over Japan. Oh, not on Japan. Oh, over Japan. I see. Okay, that makes sense. All right, because they were talking about their public transportation shut down and all of that. It was interesting. I also found out that the Chinese markets have not been trading for a golden week. So if anyone here is celebrating that festival, here's my wishes to you guys. There we go. Okay, cool. Let's go look at NVIDIA real quick. NVIDIA is also gapping up in a really cool scenario. So guys, we talked about NVIDIA yesterday, and I don't know if you guys remember, but I said I am going to watch NVIDIA, and I like that way more than anything else. I think it was on the monthly chart that it was bouncing off of level here. So monthly 50 SMA is right over here. And guys, we know that this candle needs a retest. So I wouldn't be surprised if we retested till 134-ish level. Let's go look at it on the daily. On the weekly, it also looks back. It looks like we claimed this 100 SMA with this gap up today. So that I'm really excited for. That is a good sign. If this gap can hold and continue, that's going to be great for NVIDIA. And it also is screaming for a pullback, a retest of the 10 EMA. So on the weekly. So I like NVIDIA for a bull play versus AMD. So definitely keep an eye on this guy. This guy for a day trade, here's the 20 EMA. For a day trade. So if it can pull back a tiny bit and then bounce off of this candle again to the daily 20 EMA, I would love it. It's looking good. I know some of you guys can't see this perfectly well, but let's pull up a line chart. And I don't mean that in a bad way. Sometimes I find it really hard to spot patterns, with just candles, especially when they're super crowded. So with a line chart, this looks like a sweet little double bottom, kind of with a divergence as well. Not really too much, but kind of sort of with a divergence as well. So that's a good sign for NVIDIA. I mean, this thing's been struggling. And I know there's news today about them restricting more, I guess, on the chip makers and implementing more sanctions and all of that. So I'm not sure if NVIDIA is going to get affected by it, but as far as a bull case scenario is concerned, I like NVIDIA to the 20 EMA on the daily, which is 132.50. So if I were to take a trade, I think that's where my target would go. So that's NVIDIA for us. AMD, let's check it out real quick. AMD would do pretty much the same exact thing, but it's gapping into the 10 EMA. So here's an interesting fact, guys. So if the markets want to pull back, let's say they don't want to continue and they seem extended, they want to pull back, AMD is our boy to go short. If the markets want to continue, then NVIDIA is our boy to go long. And it seems odd because they're both so very similar, but AMD seems like the weaker sister for some reason. I don't know why. It's just been weak lately comparatively to NVIDIA. It's just not finding a footing. And I mean, AMD also has the same divergence that we talked about on NVIDIA. AMD actually has a bigger divergence on NVIDIA compared to NVIDIA, but it's got this divergence where the RSI is doing this, but the daily chart is doing this. So I will keep an eye on this guy. If we take out the 10 EMA right at open, that's good sign. If we take this level out, that's great sign for AMD to go all the way up to 73.22. I wouldn't be surprised if we did that today. So keeping an eye on this guy, we will see what happens there. Amazon. I honestly have not looked at Amazon for an analysis perspective, but Amazon was a little bit weak yesterday, and then it just continued to go. It's gapping up into all of these daily SMAs. So, if you had a choice to leave this guy alone, I would do it. I wouldn't touch this until we reclaim some of these territories. I don't really love Amazon today on the daily chart as much as I loved it yesterday. So we'll leave it alone for today. I'm not going to be looking at it too much. I'll move it down a tad bit. Let's go look at Apple. Apple on the daily gapping up. Here's the 10 EMA at 147. This also 147 area also happens to be a buying zone on the daily compared, if you put fibs off of this level. So be cautious of Apple. I think it can certainly, this is a bullish engulfing candle. That is a reversal sign altogether. So be cautious with this guy going short. Stick to longs. When in doubt, always stick to longs on Apple. I honestly have a rule to never short Apple. It's just a thing. Every time I try to short it, I never win at it. So why do that? And it's just such a safe ticker that everybody wants to, this price is still appealing to a lot of people right now. So a lot of people could be buying this guy up. If you are in a swing trade on Apple, I would say 151.42 is your target. Hector says buenos dias, Hector. But yeah, so this could be a good target on Apple if you are doing a swing trade. As far as a day trade is concerned, I would peel off some profits over here, but I'm not going to go, long right at open. It is a retest gap, so I'll wait for a pullback. Look for a long around these levels and then continue to go higher. So that's the plan on Apple. We have lots of tickers today, guys. Meta. I love this ticker so much for day trades. If you have not given it a shot, guys, you got to go try this out. Meta moves quite a bit for day trades. And it's one of those fun tickers that just does what you asked it to do. you can predict which direction it's going to go in. So I really like Meta today if the market's going to get going for a long to the 20 EMA on the daily, just like everything else. If the markets don't get going, this is also a little bit weak. But the fact that it's been sold off so much, the bears are going to step away. And so I like it for a long. The only other ticker that I love for a short is Tesla and AMD so far. But as far as longs are concerned, I like Meta for a long on a day trade level. If I get the chance, if there is a chance, and if the markets cooperate with us. Let's look at Delta Airlines. Brandon says, I feel like I might get whatever that complicated word is touching Meta. I can't read that out loud. I have no idea what that means. But okay, cool. This is Delta Airlines, and Delta Airlines has been weak along with some of the other tickers as well. It is so far away from its daily SMAs. Although I like this gap, this is a picture perfect hammer with great volume. Things seem like they're bottoming out. This is a trap in making right now. So when we make new lows and then immediately get bought up, know that it's a trap. Even on an intraday time frame, guys. If it's a 15-minute chart, we make a new low and we immediately get bought up, it's a trap. We are going to go make a new high. Know that that can happen. So this is picture perfect trap in the making right now. If we can hold some of these levels, on Delta Airlines, there's 4 or 5 days of bear candles in a row. So some of the bears might want to close out their position. I feel like that's going to be the case for so many other tickers today. And if we reject those levels, then this could be a fun little short down to the retest level right here. So we shall see. I like to stay away from Delta. I don't trade Delta Airlines as much. Roblox, another fun ticker here. It's double bottoming at a decent level of support. I want to say right over here. So it's double bottoming at a decent level of support. You guys are trading Roblox at all, maybe to come down to retest this. But for a swing level, for a day trade perspective, there's too much along the way. I would just leave it alone for today. We looked at Amazon. Google isn't one of our tickers that we look at every day, but let's just go ahead and look at it. It is above, finally. God help Google. I mean, seriously, it's had the hardest time around the 100 level. So thank God it's reclaimed that today with this gap up. But I mean, look at all these bears, guys. They're going to want to close out their positions. Some of them might want to take profits. Some of them might want to close out their positions. And for that reason, I feel like Google can easily go up to here. And I mean, it looks like we're going higher. The queues, the markets are open.
Hey, Maloney, sorry to interrupt real quick. Do you want to say goodbye to everybody on YouTube?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, goodbye, everybody. Thank you for joining in. And I'll see you guys on Monday and Tuesday. Apologies for starting this webinar a little too late today.